And let's finish this, the 13th and penultimate chapter of The Whispering Mountain. The chase is on to rescue the harp. Yehemelich has gathered a group of his people to help out, and we'll pick up from there. Half of you at top speed to the caves of Fig Hat Ben in defense of our brother Abapol, he was saying. Although he has involved himself in this trouble because of his foolish craving for a harp, yet he is our brother, and we must assist him if it is within our power. The rest of you, whom I shall command myself, must hasten at once to the help of our healer and deliverer, Lady Erebus, whose voice, I am told by our reliable scouts, Shishank and Ipshimi, has been heard coming in cries of distress from the wicked lord's dungeons. No wonder she did not return to us at first light as promised. It may be that the valiant young man Owen, who saved our brother Abapol from drowning, has been able to release her, but until we see her safe with our own eyes, it is our duty to go to her support. Never shall it be said that the tribe of Yehemelich, cried Erebus, who had gathered the gist of this. It is all right, I am safe. Go back and go quickly to your caves before any of Lord Mellon's people come through here and find you. At the sight of Erebus, the little pit people raised a shout, which, though joyful, was somewhat shaky and weak, as many of them were still hardly more than convalescent from their illness. They began to gather round her, bowing, smiling, and patting her hands. Lady, said Yehemelich gravely, from the bottom of my heart I rejoice that you are safe. I, Talbot, Eloeus Yehemelich, hereditary foreman and leader of the children of the pit. Yehemelich! Shouted the Seljuk. Throughout this exchange he had stood silent in wonder, gazing at the gallant little group shakily flourishing their gold weapons. Two great tears gathered in his large brown eyes and rolled unnoticed down past his lopped-off mustaches. Now he could restrain himself no longer. He stepped forward. Yehemelich! He cried again in his own tongue. Brave leader of your exiled tribe, I salute you. Honor to be yours, and may your name be written forever in the annals of our people. Do you know who I am? I am your Seljuk, come to carry you to glory and joy in your long-lost homeland, the kingdom of Rum. At first, Yehemelich and his people made no reply. Silent, amazed, and doubtful, they gaped at the Seljuk. Well, the sense of his words sank in. One reason for their hesitation was the fact that his language, after so many generations apart, was a bit different from theirs. The Seljuk, eager and anxious, gazed back at them, waiting for their reaction. Slowly it came. Wondering murmurs began to rise, as one and then another worked out the meaning of what they had heard. The Seljuk! He says he is our Seljuk! At last he has come. He will carry us home to Rum. With a broken cry, Yehemelich tottered forward and fell on his knees before the Seljuk. Lord, forgive me, I am an old man, and my wits are slow. Oh, what have I ever done unworthy that I should have lived to see this day? Happy, happy Yehemelich, I shall tread the streets of Sair and Tyadon. I shall see the green mountains of Sur. Lord, we are indeed your people. Never, never did we doubt that one day you would come for us. Greatly moved, the Seljuk raised him up and embraced him. Erebus, who had been crying unashamedly while she watched the reunion of the pit people with their rightful lord, now glanced back the way they had come. There's happy I am also to see this day, she said, blowing her nose. But I am thinking we had best all clear out of here, and pretty fast, too. Sounds up above, I believe I can hear. She ran back to the door from which they had just emerged, tried all Garble's keys, found one that fitted, and locked it. Indeed, lady, you are right, said Yehemelich, and he said to the Seljuk, Lord, I am proud to offer you and your friends the hospitality of our poverty-stricken quarters. There's kind you are, said Erebus warmly, but easy in my mind I shall not be until I know what has become of Abapol and Owen and the harp of Teritu. No offence, but I think I shall just be following on in the direction of Nant-Agadow. Since, in fact, Yehemelich, the Seljuk, old Mr. Hughes, and Brother Ianto were all equally anxious to learn what was going on, they agreed to set forward without further delay, and Yehemelich provided camels for the party. The rest of the pit people tottered thankfully back to their beds. During all the preceding scene, Mr. Hughes had maintained a silence of astonishment, Still silent, he mounted on the diminutive black camel allotted to him and urged it into a rapid shamble behind that of Brother Ianto. "Are you all right, sir, with you?" Erebus asked him solicitously. Yes, yes, my child," he replied in a somewhat testy manner. "I have bestricken plenty of camels before this, I assure you. When we were taken on water at the port of Alexandria—" Oh, this is Ianto speaking. Yes, yes, my child. Yes, yes, child," he replied in his usual somewhat testy manner. "I have bestridden plenty of camels before this, I assure you. When we were taking on water at the port of Alexandria, you need not concern yourself about me." Erebus therefore went ahead to listen to the Seljuk, who, as he rode along, was endeavoring to give his retrieved subject a brief account of what had been happening in the kingdom of Rum during the past 2,000 years. "Somewhat changed, you may find it, I fear," he admitted, "but still a royal welcome we shall give you, and a special valley is already set aside for you, full of fruit trees, peach and fig and apricot, where your people can rest and grow strong in the sun." Mr. Hughes looked after Erebus. "This is a most unusual young gal," he remarked to Brother Ianto. "Seems uncommonly well informed and full of sense on a number of subjects. Must confess I did her an injustice when young Owen brought her and her father to the museum last week. Thought they were after the harp of Terry too." Brother Ianto, as was often his wont, chuckled quietly but made no answer. "Well, you have to be careful with that gypsyish sort of customer," Mr. Hughes said. Mr. Hughes added rather defensively, "Gracious knows what sort of man her father is." "Not the sort of man to take what does not belong to him, I assure you," Brother Ianto said. "Tom is a poet. Sooner write a good poem than wear the crown of England, he would." "Tisk, head in the clouds sort of customer, all very fine, no doubt, but somebody ought to look out for the gal. See, she gets a decent education," muttered Mr. Hughes disapprovingly. Erebus, meanwhile, was full of curiosity to hear about Owen's encounter with the children of the pit. Yehemelich explained that Tennis and Strato, who were just setting out to go in search of Abapol at Nant Agardau, had heard voices coming from the underwater cave, and had seen Abapol emerge from it wet and gasping. From his confused and not at all grateful account, they deduced that someone had saved him who was still in there. They had pulled out Owen now, in a very exhausted condition, and taken him to Yehemelich. Owen had immediately recognized the Barabon Kruth and asked where Erebus was. The fact that he knew her had reassured Yehemelich. Owen was dried off and given seaweed broth. What he really needed was sleep, but there had been no time for that. Shishik Yeshebi arrived in great alarm, crying out that while on watch duty in the upper caves they had heard the voice of Erebus coming from Lord Mallin's dungeons. Since the pit people had taken care that no tunnel directly connected their abode with the dungeons, Owen had decided that the quickest way to go to the rescue would be to climb up the cliff face. He had been followed by Abapol, intent on recovering his cherished harp. "Fancy his having had it all the time," Erebus said. "Now he has taken such a liking to the harp, I am wondering how we can persuade him to give it up." "Worry about those 3 scoundrels of Lord Mallin's first, is it?" Brother Ianto suggested. "Not to mention Lord Mallin himself." "Oh, my dada will have come up with the Prince of Wales by this time," Erebus said confidently. "And sure it is, old Prince Dio will be able to deal with that pack of Adnod." And that is the end of chapter 13.